It's an Irish pub. It's supposed to be. Welcome to the latest edition of SouhanUnfiltered.com. You can find all the podcasts at SouhanUnfiltered.com or via iTunes or via iHeartRadio. Once again, 2 days in a row, not that I have a drinking problem, but 2 days in a row I am at Kieran's Irish Pub. Glad to be here. Last night it was with Quincy Lewis, the great Gopher basketball player who is now working with Gopher administration. Today I'm going to what they might call, in the cliched world, the next level. Peter Killen, CEO, and is it proper to say owner, or is that is CEO the right title?
Well, Jim, first of all, welcome. Great to be here. Thanks for coming back again. And I've been called a lot of things.
We both have.
But thankfully, CEO, I guess, is the official
title.
CEO
is the official title.
I just prefer Peter.
All right, we'll go with Peter. To start things off, I want to thank Kieran's for having us. Pretty much every time I show up for a beer, they just have me do a podcast. It's a pretty good system. On Wednesday, tomorrow, I'll be at the Liffey with my buddy Michael Russo to talk hockey as the Wild continues to surge. This is part of the Alive and Social Network, a network of podcasts including sports, entertainment, and music. We're going to be doing more and more music with the Alive and Social Network as we go forward. Right now, we're Kieran's on a break between bands. What's the name of that band coming up here?
The band coming up here is Sweet Colleens.
Sweet Colleens. I didn't want to get that wrong.
They are fantastic.
And they'll be playing from, 4 to 7, I think?
4 to 7, yeah. 4 to 7.
Awesome. And you have music after that as well?
Yep, we got Broken Spoke.
The Broken Spoke. You know what's funny about the name, The Broken Spoke, is I did a lot of stories on Brett Favre when he was the Vikings quarterback.
Sure.
And I went down to Kill, Louisiana, which is spelled K-I-L-N, but they just don't. They're too tired to pronounce the N, so they just say Kill.
Right.
It's hot down there. They're trying to conserve energy, so they just say Kill. And I go down to Kill, Mississippi, and I meet Favre's mom, who's drinking a Bud Light, of course, and smoking a cigarette at 11 a.m. And I meet, the brother. And pretty much the town, other than the residences, and of course the Favres are nice, other than the residences, Kill, Mississippi is just a crossroads. And I asked them, okay, where's a good place to get to eat? Well, the gas station. Okay, well, where's a good place to, if I need a T-shirt? The gas station. So I didn't ask where to get gas. I pretty much had figured out what the answer would be at this point.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, where's a good place to get a beer? Well, the gas station. You don't have a bar in town? Oh, okay, you want a bar? About half a mile down the road from the gas station, which is the center of all life in Kill, Mississippi.
Sounds like it.
They said there's a bar called the Broke Spoke. I walk in, and the only thing more prevalent than Favre memorabilia in the Broke Spoke are Confederate flags and bras hanging from the ceiling.
Wow.
Apparently, every woman who walks in, if she is discerned to be wearing a bra, it is summarily removed from her. I didn't ask how, and hung from the ceiling. That's the kind of place Kill, Mississippi is.
Wow, that's definitely something I don't think we're going to be trying here, but you never know.
Yeah, it's early. You never know.
We're going to do it any day. Today's probably the day we'll get away with it,
Before we get to your story, and one of the things I love about doing podcasts, as opposed to a lot of the other media I do, is you get to just ask people about where they're from and how they made it. Quincy Lewis is a kind of suburban kid who grew up in Arkansas, and all of a sudden he's an executive for the Gophers. I don't think he envisioned that when he's 12 years old. I don't know what you envisioned when 12 years old, but I was talking to my sister this morning, right. And we're of Irish descent.
I know that.
But I've always been I've never really done the go back to your roots and figure out exactly kind of thing. I know there's a Souhan's Bar and Grill in Dublin, Ireland.
There is, yep.
Actually, and a Souhan's Garage near Dublin. So my sister said this. My great-grandfather, James Souhan, came over on the Germanic, which is a ship built by the same people who built the Titanic.
The sister ship of the Titanic,
That's right.
Yeah.
In 1898 from Drogheda. Is that Drogheda? Drogheda, thank you. Ireland, which is north of Dublin.
Yeah, north of Dublin.
And they said that is where the Hill of Tara is, which is also what the Hill of Tara was the inspiration for the child's game, King of the Hill.
That's correct.
Is that correct? You know all that stuff?
That all sounds good.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
County Meath is the county you're from, Jim.
Yes.
So.
By the way, did you watch? This is a complete tangent. Did you watch Sons of Anarchy at all?
No.
Oh, there's a very good Irish tangent in there. They deal with Irish gun runners, and there's one, I think it's in the second season or so, they go back to Ireland to kind of clean up some business. It's a gory show, but it's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, no,
I do recommend it.
It's on the list, so I got to just get some time to bounce through that Netflix list.
Now, you were telling me earlier, I believe you live in Edina or Minneapolis, kind of right on the border there.
Right on the border.
I'm guessing from your accent you weren't born in Edina.
No.
Where were you born?
North Dakota, man. No.
See, I was guessing South Dakota.
South Dakota, yeah, there you go. No, I grew up in County Down, which is in Northern Ireland, so geographically about 45 minutes south of Belfast, and which is actually kind of fun and interesting. You know, for years people would say, where are you from? And everybody knows Dublin, and everybody knows Cork, and everybody knows Galway. And I would say County Down, as in D-O-W-N, and nobody had ever heard of it. You know, there only is 32 counties in Ireland. For God's sake, you think they would figure them out, you know? But now, all of a sudden, we've had a couple of sort of game changers going on, because we have this guy, he's pretty good at golf, called Rory McIlroy.
Yes.
Who's also from County Down. So all of a sudden, he kind of speaks like me. We have the same accent, and so he's from County Down. And then this actor that all the women seem to love these days, Jamie Dornan, who's in this 50 Shades of whatever the heck it's 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, you know, I haven't seen that movie. It's not really on my top 10.
No, it's not on my read list, but he's also from County Down, the same neck of the woods as Rory. So, but they live in the fancy side. I grew up on the poor side. So,
now, are you being funny, or did you really grow up on the poor side?
No, I grew up in the poor side. Yeah. We working class community, and again, it's a kind of a little jest. Every county's got its own little back and forth, Jim, you know, so but that was definitely I didn't play too much golf where I grew up. Let's just say that where Rory grew up, that was golf country.
Right. And you know what, I cover golf. I'm going to be at the Masters again in a month here and doing podcasts from down there. Rory is a hell of a kid. I really like him.
Right, yeah.
You can always tell what kind of a guy, and you know, I've been covering athletes for 30 or 80 years or something like that. You can always tell a lot about a guy after they've struggled, you know, and Rory's had a couple of blow-up rounds at the Masters, and he handles it like a champ. Yeah, no, I know a few people who know him, everybody knows everybody, I guess, but, you know, very few people say bad things about him, you know, so, and he was an Irishman, and we're all very proud of him, what he does, and keeps little Ireland floating around there in everybody's front and centre, you know, so, but he's a good guy. But of course we get all our good golfers as well, Darren Clark, Paul Drake and stuff. Who's also a great character.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yes.
Now, he's a guy you want to go have a beer with.
Yes. And in fact, he will insist that you go have the beer with him. He doesn't really give you the choice.
Right, well, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So that's where I grew up, you know, and I always, how I get into the bar business, you know, I always kind of like going to pubs. I like drinking in them. I liked hanging out in them, and I kind of felt that I should just do this because I enjoy it, you know. So a great believer in do what you love and love what you do. So I kind of went to school. I got a degree in hotel management, and I spent about 5 years in hotels working for the Hilton Corporation, kind of traveling the world and learning the business. And but I kind of got sick of the big corporate world. It just drove me crazy, you know. So and one of my little stints with Hilton, I landed in Minneapolis back in 1995. And I kind of ran into Killen, the godfather of Irish pubs here in the Twin Cities, my very dear friend. And you know, I just kind of started going down to the pub for a beer and working with him. And
I mean, how did that go? Did you just strike up a conversation with him? How did that actually work?
Yeah, I just started working for him. I actually started washing glasses down at the original.
So it was
Killen's.
washing glasses.
Yeah, which I've been doing for years. You know, washing. Everybody tells their story in the bar business about washing dishes or whatever, but when I first met Kieran, I was bar backing for him down at the original pub, you know, and we just, you know, and sometimes you just hit it off with somebody. He liked me, I liked him, and he was just about to open the local, and he wanted me to kind of pack it in with Hilton and go and help him open up the local, and I was like, in a true Irish fashion, I said, thanks, but no thanks. You know, kind of keep it civilized. You know, I got this gig going with Hilton, I'm traveling the world, this is going pretty good, I want to see a little bit more, and literally almost to the day when I left, because I was just here for a year, it was kind of a year in, year out thing, and he you know, he just kept pestering me, you know, and you know him, he's a pretty persuasive guy, you know, I mean, he would call me every couple of months, how's life going, and I had just gotten married, and I was just like, you know what, I just, this corporate thing's just not going to work for me forever, you know, so handed me notice in with Hilton, broke my mother's heart. She was kind of, she said, you're going to leave Hilton to go and work for
a bar,
an Irish pub, you know. So, but you know what? I tell you, talk about decisions in life. It was probably the best decision that I ever made, apart from marrying my wife. So that was it, really. I was back then, and I came back then 2 years later. So I was back here in '99. Went home for a couple of years, and then came back here in '99. And I kind of had a 5-year plan. You got to have a plan. We were going to come, and I was going to try and make some money, save some money. You can always make money in America, but the problem is saving it, you know.
Oh, I'm with you there.
So I was going to save the money and go home and open up a pub in Ireland, you know. That was kind of the dream, you know. And then kids come along and you make some new friends and life just kind of just takes over, so
let me shorten it for you. Minnesota doesn't let people go.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's great border security here.
Yeah.
You cannot get across.
They do a great job.
Yes, in the winter, well, they'll let you leave in the summer, but they will not let you leave in the winter.
It's funny because I had in my sort of travels as I was going through college and as I was kind of working with Hilton and stuff. I'd lived and worked in New York, in Boston, Chicago, New Jersey, Connecticut, California. I came to Minnesota, not to say, everybody says this, but I kind of fell in love with the place. It's a great place. The people are fantastic, and I'm not just saying that. It's like, this is where I live now. I've almost lived here longer than I lived in Ireland, so it's kind of like...
How old are you, if I may ask?
44 years young.
44,
so
okay.
44. So I've got a birthday coming up here in July, but so it's coming up... it's just good. People are great, and so that was it. I came over in '99 and kind of haven't looked back, but it's been great. It's been a great journey, and that's really what life's about. It's about, you can work, but you got to look back and surround yourself with good people and enjoy work enough so you can drag your sorry ass out of bed every morning and go and do it,
I'm of Irish descent, but I have yet to get back to Ireland, which is one of the great failings of my life so far. I do plan on doing that one of the next couple of summers here.
Yeah. We got to try and figure that out somehow. We got to do something fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe it sounds like a junket. Sounds some kind of a business junket. I think is in order here. We can do a podcast from Souhan's garage north of Dublin or Guinness. The Guinness factory. We can figure something out.
Oh yeah, well, I know a few people over there. We can make that happen. We just got to figure it out. I think what's most important, Jim, is that you need a tour guide.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just so we do it properly. It's like we'll stay away from all the touristy stuff. We'll do that for a little bit, and then maybe we'll do some.
I'm really not a touristy guy. I like to get around. I like to walk the land. When I go to a city, anywhere I go, I like to get out and walk and see things for myself. And I just, everything. Here's my reference point on Ireland, my non-historical. This is just latter day. I've had 2 or 3 friends go over there and tell me that they've gone, like, one planned a vacation and just loved every minute of it. But another one was like coaching basketball in Eastern Europe and had a weekend free. And he just on a whim flew to, and he's of Irish descent.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Flew to Ireland. I can't remember which famous course it was, but some famous course. Shows up at their doorstep at 5 a.m. as they're opening up and says, "Listen, I'm here for the weekend. I'm Irish. I don't have a tea time. I don't even have a hotel room. I'm just begging for your mercy. Can you just get me out on the course sometime today? I've always wanted to play this course.
Sure.
I've always wanted to play golf in Ireland." Well, they hook him up with a great caddy. He plays 36 holes, has a great time, and he's tipping his caddy and thanking his caddy at the end of the day, and said, "Hey, where should I stay?" And the caddy says, "Oh, and I can't do an Irish accent well, so I'll let you just pretend I'm doing an Irish accent."
Sure, okay.
"Oh, you're staying with me." So the caddy says, takes him home, gets him a shower, and takes him down to the pub. And this is where I want you to help out with the story. Takes him down to the pub, and my buddy said that the Irish pub wasn't just a pub. It was the center of life in this town. It was, everybody brought their families to the pub, had dinner there, sat around telling stories, listened to music. It wasn't just to go have a drink. It was the center of social activity.
100% correct. It's just... Some people always think about, the St. Patrick's Day and the Irish pub and everybody's wearing green and, it is so much more. And the beautiful thing about pubs in general in Ireland, it didn't matter, whether you were the doctor or you were the policeman or you were the priest. Everybody, when they walked into the pub, it didn't matter who you were. They're egalitarian. Everybody, you don't pay extra because you're somebody else or more or less. And that's the beautiful thing about them, So, yeah, I grew up in a small little village. 500 people, so it's like the pub. There was the church and the pub and the post office, and that was it. And they're all right beside each other, So you finish mass on a Sunday and you go straight down to the pub, and
or you wake up on Sunday morning and realize you have to go atone for some things. You go to church. It's the cycle of life. The cycle of Irish life.
It is actually. So no, that's 100% true. Really, everybody. For obviously those people who drink, which is the majority of people.
Yes.
It is that kind of, and again, for me, it took me a big readjustment when I first came to the States, getting into the way that the pubs are. Because the pub that I grew up in, but drank in as a younger person, there was no food in it. You couldn't even get a bag of chips.
Right.
So it was like, and you come to America and everything's so organised, and there's kitchens, and there's, it's crazy, because it was literally, you're sick of looking at your brother or your mother or whatever. You go to the pub, meet your mate, just have a couple of pints and reflect upon life, which is really what it should be about, so in a nice egalitarian environment.
Yes, absolutely. Once again, I want to thank Kieran's Irish Pub for having us today and yesterday. We're here every other week. Next week I'll be at the local on Monday. Still lining up a guest for that one. Also want to thank the Liffey for having us tomorrow night, 4:30. Michael Russo, Star Tribune hockey writer. Michael always brings a big crowd out. We will be giving away something tomorrow, too. Check my Twitter timeline for the giveaway at SouhanStrib or at RussoStrib.
Yeah, we got a lot of hockey coming up in St. Paul here now as well.
Yes,
yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And this is part of the Alive and Social Network. I also want to thank Guinness, one of our newer sponsors, and Minnesota Eye Consultants, which we'll be telling you more about tomorrow. You can also find, if you're interested in LASIK or any eye procedures, you can find them at mneye.com, minnesotaeye.com. So, not all my sponsors have to do with drinking beer in Irish pubs, just 80% or 90%. I'm okay with that.
Did you say Guinness? I think it's nearly time we had one, Jim.
Well, this one, you know what? I walked in here today, and a longtime reader came over and insisted on buying me one.
Well,
so I have to finish this one, but that's okay. I can drink more than one. It's all right.
We'll be getting one now. It takes 119.5 seconds officially from Guinness to pour the correct pint of Guinness. So.
Believe me, I have had bad pours, so I appreciate the good ones.
Yeah, no, it's like people, and it's funny, people have no patience in society today. And,
you have to have patience with Guinness.
And people, they come and they'll bitch to me about, I'll be waiting forever, and I go, listen, honey, this Guinness was made in Ireland, right? It sat in a boat for 6 weeks crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Can you just give me an hour, 30 seconds here, I can give you the best pint of Guinness that you're ever going to have? Oh,
the pour is so important, and it's not. Also, it's not. Well, I don't want to offend any other manufacturers out there, so I'll be diplomatic here. They
could be sponsored someday. You have to be careful.
It's not a 40-calorie. It's a lighter beer, but it's not water. It is meant to be poured in a certain way, and it's meant to be sipped. It's not a chugging beer.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like that.
What I love about it, I've been drinking Guinness for about 30-odd years. We started a little earlier in Ireland.
Interesting math.
And
it's almost like Wisconsin.
It was, actually. That was your rite of passage in Ireland. You could go to the pub and get served, when you're 15. When you go out and you're out with the lads and stuff, I'll go out and I like all beer. I haven't really found one I don't like yet, but this is definitely my go-to beer, and you can go out and drink numerous amounts of them and still wake up and not feel like your head's banging off the wall, Jim, so that's my go-to.
Absolutely. So you started off washing dishes. So many people I've had on. I've had all, I'm lucky. I've had great guests. I've had people who are incredibly successful running teams or performing as athletes, and they all had to have some break, It's like, Terry Ryan had to impress somebody in the Mets organization. The eyes of a scout to end up where he is today. How do you impress somebody washing dishes? How do you establish your management material washing dishes?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jim. I look back to my father, God rest him, who left this world a little too early, but he was always a great inspiration, as many fathers are. But for me, it was like he told me, he says, "I don't care what you do. You can be a doctor, you can be a judge." He says, "I don't care if you dig holes in the street." He says, "You just make sure that's the best goddamn hole that anybody has ever seen." And it was just a kind of a value in life that I took with me, And I always remember when I washed dishes, they were the cleanest dishes and they were done quickly, And there's always somebody who kind of helps you guide through your life and helps you kind of put you on path for your career. And when I was going through college, I had a year placement in a kitchen, and it was a tough kitchen. It was kind of like one of those Gordon Ramsay's kitchens with the guys shouting at you and screaming at you, and it was double shifts, and you worked, literally every day of the week. And if you're lucky, maybe every third week you would get a day off, And he was a great man. At the time, I thought he was the biggest prick that there was, but you know what? He was just, and it was tough because the whole idea of the placement was you do 3 months in the kitchen, and you do 3 months in housekeeping, and you do 3 months in a restaurant, and 3 months in the bar, And everybody was like, "Get the kitchen over with first. It's the worst ever, And after the first 3 months was over, and I thought I had never worked as hard in my life, and I thought I'd worked as hard as I had in my life, and he really he got it done, or he took it to the next level. And I went knocking on his door, and I was like, "Hey, George, chef. It was all chef. Yes, chef. No chef, you know. He says, yep, I know, your 3 months is up. Yeah, you want to move to housekeeping. And I went, no, actually, I don't see my future being how to learn how to make beds. You know, I go, oh, do you want to go to the restaurant? I go, I've already worked in restaurants before. I'm really enjoying my time in the kitchen. And he goes, I said, I want to stay for the whole year. And he goes, nobody's ever asked me that. He says, no student. He says, are you sure? And I go, honestly, I want to learn how to cook, you know. So I spent the entire year in the kitchen. And, I mean, that's just where I really felt that I knew then that was really what I wanted to do, because there was so much more to it, you know. It's this crazy business of the food and beverage business, bars, restaurants, you know. Every day is different, and, you know, just when you think you know it all, guess what? You get hit by a steam train or a freight train, and it's like, shit, I didn't think about that, you know. So George MacGyver, a little shout out to him. Good Scottish man, great chef, and he kind of really got me on the highway. And then the rest of it, as you know, nobody gives you anything for nothing these days. You got to work hard, you know, and you need a little bit of luck, and you got to be talented to some degree, you know. So that was really my kind of story to get on this crazy business. It's a bit like the mafia, this business, you know. Once you get in, you can never really get out of it, you know. It's like you just gotta keep. But it's a fun business, you know what? I tell you, it is. There's no other business I'd rather be in, to be honest with you.
I think I read someplace that you regretted not working for a cruise ship when you were younger. Is that
yeah,
right?
that I did actually. Yeah, good research, Jim. I, when I finished college, I did the. It's funny. It kind of ties back to what I was telling you earlier on about with Chef George. You know, I was like I always wanted to travel, you know, and see a little bit of the world, and so the choices were I either go and get this job at Hilton, which he kind of set me up with. And then, or I go on a cruise line, you know. It's like, so I never know, because I'm never really going to do it. So that was kind of the crossroads I was at. Do I go stick with George and learn this great business, or do I just? And I actually had got accepted onto the QE2. I had a job offer on it. Yeah, I was like, or I go and work for Hilton, the London Hilton in Park Lane, which is a fabulous 5-star hotel right in the centre of London. You know, so. I was never really good on the ocean, so I think I stuck. I think I made the right decision and just sort of stayed on land, you know. But I'll tell you another funny story. You're talking about kind of. So here I was, this little, got my degree. I thought my shit didn't stink, man. I was best ever, you know. So I get to this restaurant. I got a good word put in with me. Interviewed with a food and beverage director for Europe to get this job, you know. And I'm like, here we go, you know. So I go show up my first day of work, and this little French. Restaurant manager, you know, and I showed up. I'm thinking, you know, here I go. I'm on the corporate ladder here. I'm going to climb all the way up. And he looks at me and he goes, "So you got your degree?" "Yeah, you got a little bit of experience." "Good." And he throws me an apron, and I go, "An apron?" "So let's see how good you really are." And I showed up in my suit, and I thought I was like, here I am. I'm just gonna.
I'm here to run things.
I'm going to take over. I'm going to do it better than you. So I tell you, it was another hard 6 months of my life. I had to prove to him that I actually could actually talk the talk, you know. So. But then after that, I kind of got into management, and it's like everything. You're only as good as your last day, so you had to prove your worth, you know. But it was definitely a good.
2 fresh Guinnesses, thank you. We appreciate it.
Pretty dang good from where I'm sitting.
Yes.
This will be my first official one of the day now. So
first official. What does first official mean?
Well, yeah.
You got to be careful with the language around me now.
I know. Yeah, I have to be careful. So yeah, here, let's grab these.
Frothy.
As we say in Ireland, sláinte, Jim. Cheers, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You know, I'm learning many of the customs. Help me pronounce that word.
So it's sláinte.
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 Slócha.
Slán.
Slárcha.
Slán.
Slám.
Cha.
Slumcha.
Sláinte.
Slumcha.
So it means good health.
It's
kind of like the English version of cheers. But we don't say cheers in Irish pubs.
No, we don't.
We say sláinte.
Slumcha. I will work on that.
There you have it.
Did you ever end up taking a cruise?
No, I didn't. My wife is not a big. She doesn't like. Again, I try to really convince her. You know, so growing up in Northern Ireland, there was a. You'd go from Belfast over to Scotland in this little kind of roll on, roll off ferry. You know, and it was a very choppy weather. You know, so my wife has these really bad memories about going on ferries or whatever, you know. I'm going, honey, I'd like to go on a cruise. I mean, we'll be floating around the Caribbean, and this is not going like from Larne to Stranraer, you know, but she hasn't quite got over it yet, so not yet, but it's on the list, you know.
I never considered going on a cruise until Kirby Puckett told me his wife basically forced him to go on a cruise. He came back and told me it was like the greatest thing ever. So my significant other, who loves cruising, talked me into it maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and I didn't expect to like it. I don't like crowds. I don't like small
lines,
spaces.
yeah.
I don't like lines, and I didn't expect to like it, and I liked it. It's yes, there are lines if you want to do the touristy popular thing at the peak time, but really you can find your own space. You can kind of do your own thing most of the time. You don't have to go on the excursions everybody else goes on. It's very relaxing. Everything's taken care of. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely, it's on. I got to do it. I just like the idea of lying around in a big floating hotel for 4 or 5 days, So, but I'm a bit like you as well. I just would avoid the crowds and just gotta do my own thing in my own time, So we'll give it a list. I'll keep working on her. We'll see.
Yeah, good luck with that. Now tell me about the music scene here. I play in a band myself. I love local music. My daughter works at First Avenue. I try to keep up on the local acts. And I know I've talked to Aaron and other people who work for you. It sounds like you really want to make this a destination.
Yeah, we've been at Spain. Obviously, Kieran's had a long history with playing music in Twin Cities. Actually, today is our 21st anniversary, if you count the old Kieran's and the new Kieran's.
Wow.
So we've been around doing music here in Twin Cities for 21 years, So, of course, where everybody gets stamped in life. So we were the Irish pub kind of scene as well. But, that's changed so much over the years as well in 21 years. It's like the people who were listening to Irish music 21 years ago are either dead or in a hospital or, have got a bunch of kids or grandkids and they don't go out to listen to it as much, And again, there's still a great Irish music scene here, but it's certainly changed. The millennials, as we keep talking about, their head's in a whole different place, So you stop the average kid between 25 and 30 in the street, or 21 and 30. They're talking Dropkick Murphys, they're talking Flogging Molly, So things have changed, and like in life, if you don't change, you're going to wake up someday and there's going to be tumbleweeds.
I think they just brought you another Guinness.
God, for Molly. Well, fantastic.
Well, there you go.
Thanks. One wasn't enough.
Well, they go down smoothly.
Yeah. So it definitely changed a lot, So we still have our great traditional bands that play with us, but we also incorporate some newer bands as well, and ones that are, we tell them that they have to have some little bit of Irishness to the whole thing as well, So, but again, whether it's Irish music or bands, whatever, people go out on a Friday, Saturday night to listen to music to have fun, So I tell the guys, just make sure people are having fun, and here's the other big surprise. Guess what? If you go to Ireland, not everybody's listening to Irish music,
That's right.
So at some point, we have to, we are an Irish pub. You go to Dublin, there's bands they're singing, I don't know, Neil Diamond, for God's sake, and the crowd's dancing and having a great time. So it's about having fun, which is again what Irish pubs are about, So we don't all sit and just tap our toes all day long, just listening to Danny Boy, So
well, I'm as frequent listeners know, I'm a Springsteen guy, and he did a tour where he did kind of Americana roots, big band, banjos and horns and everything kind of music, and he did a lot of Irish music, and he actually did a live concert video from Dublin doing that kind of music, and he's really kept incorporating that sound into his recent albums.
Oh, fantastic!
And he's had the Dropkick Murphys come up and play with him before. And a couple of his songs, including American Land, which he's ended his last couple of tours with. It's basically an Irish romp. It really is.
Oh, fantastic. I'll have to check that out.
I would recommend it, yes. What kind of music do you like?
I'm kind of all over the show. I really am an old-time rocker, but I'm current, back, forth. I've got my Irish kind of in my heart, some of the great Irish stuff, Chieftains, the Dubliners. But yeah, I'm across the board. Yeah, I don't think... Big blues fan as well, so huge U2, of course. But yeah, I'm trying to think who would be a concert I wouldn't want to miss. That's a tricky one now. I'll think about that. I'll circle back to you.
Well, I'll give you the answer. Springsteen's the one you don't want to miss.
Well, I've seen him a couple of times.
Okay.
So,
well, there you go.
So no.
U2 does a hell of a job too. Those are probably my two best concerts I've ever seen. The two best bands that put on concerts I've ever seen live. U2 and Bruce.
Where did you see U2?
I saw them Target Center.
Okay.
I've seen them a couple different places, but the place I saw them where they were the best was Target Center. I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And they blew it.
I think I was at a concert as well, actually.
Yeah. What, for an Irishman, what does the term March Madness mean? Is there any soccer equivalent? Or football, to use the proper term?
It wouldn't be as much all squished into the month. It's so much more just over the whole course of the season, really. So I mean, there's obviously they all come to their finals of whatever. We got the football, soccer-football coming up here now with the Premiership coming to an end, and I grew up playing Irish sports, so Gaelic football, which is a combination of soccer and rugby kind of mixed together, a bit like Aussie rules, if you know that.
Right.
Or hurling, which is
it's a brutal sport.
it's a crazy sport. So today in Ireland, funny you just mentioned that, today in Ireland there's all the clubs play off in kind of a knockout tournament, and today was the final of the football, the Irish football, Gaelic football, and the hurling finals today. So that was in Dublin and Croke Park today. So that kind of is a little bit of a end of that season, really. But talk about the March Madness here. I mean, you throw in here with the basketball and the sports and the high school tournaments and St. Patrick's Day. It is kind of a crazy March. It's appropriately named. But see, growing up in Ireland, man, things are so different for us. I mean, it was first and foremost, it's a religious holiday, So the day started off, you went to Mass, we're here to celebrate the life of St. Patrick. So it was all, first things first, it was Mass to begin with. We were dragged to Mass. We loved it as kids growing up because it was a holy day of obligation. So growing up in a Catholic school, a Catholic community, you got the day off school, so it was the day off school to begin with. And then, you'd always be some kind of football, local tournament, one village against the other village, you play a little game. Go back for a bit of dinner, and then just out to the pub for a couple of pints. And again, when I first came over to this country, I'm like, these people are insane. It's like, what? Like, great. I love it from but I was like, it took me a bit of an adjustment. It's like there was always a parade in the local town, but not to the 100,000 people that show up at the St. Paul parade or whatever it is. I mean, it's just unbelievable, So I mean, I've come to love it. But when I first came over here, I was like a deer in the headlights, going, "What the heck? Somebody's just picked me up and dropped me in the moon or something," So, but it is fun. I mean, I tell you one thing about America: everything is bigger and better, and they certainly enjoy it, and they embrace it and get into it,
Absolutely.
So it's been great. It's been great. This is my 16th St. Patrick's Day working at the pubs here.
Wow.
16 of them.
Well, it's funny, the old Kierans, I got to know the old Kierans because I was covering the Twins for the Star Tribune, and I loved going and having a beer or a pint after covering the game. And Kierans would stay open just late enough that I get my story done and grab a couple of buddies from out of town who were in covering the other team, and we'd rush over to Kierans and slam a couple of pints.
Sure.
And the great thing about Irish pubs, it's so different from your traditional quote-unquote bar, is they invite conversation. It's not people with their back turned to the bar looking at the dance floor hoping some hot chick's going to dance. It's people sitting around a table and maybe a nook or a cranny telling stories. And some of the best baseball stories I've ever heard were in the old Kierans back about midnight after games.
Well, it's basic design stuff.
Yeah.
The average American bar, you think about it, you walk into it and you order a beer, and then the first thing the bartender does is turn his back to you. So that's not really the way they're meant to be. I keep telling my guys, and they do a great job with it. People are here; everybody's got a story to tell. They're sitting by themselves. Talk to them. But if I just want you to pour beer, I can train chimpanzees to do that. It's like talk to the people. Engage them. So, but yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, that's part of the. Again, I tell my guys, business is always business. I said, but if you look after the guests, they'll come back, and we never worry about anything else. That's kind of our shtick. It's like, let's look after the guests. Nobody comes here to have a bad time, or nobody comes out to the pub to have a bad time. So just make sure they have a good time. Not too good a time. It's a fine line, but make sure they have a good time. Some people come to the pub because they've had a really shitty day, and they want to have a better day. And that's where bartenders, servers, management. We all have to help them. It's like we just last week we had all that whole Target layoff thing. It was it was a super busy day, really sad because, a lot of people lost their jobs, but it was, we were like, anybody lost their job, we bought them all a beer. It's like, hey, we're really sorry. Thanks for being a great customer, and I hope, we hope you get sorted out again, So, again, people, even on bad days, go to the bar to have a better day.
Well, I was in the local, I think, 2 or 3 days in a row right around the time of the layoffs, one to do podcasts and one just for a beer. And every day I was in there was a group of Target employees who'd just gotten laid off, and they were having kind of a final pint together before they went on their way. Tell me what the 5 most popular sports in Ireland are, and then give me your top 5 sports personally.
Oh, that's great. That's another good question. So in Ireland, for sure, it's probably a toss-up between. Just like in the States, there's certain parts of Ireland, there's some particular sports that are more popular than others. Like down, it seems in the States down south, basketball's bigger than, there's not too many colleges down south that are playing, you're getting a college scholarship to go and play hockey there, So in Ireland, there's certain parts of Ireland where hurling, and that is like the dominant sport, along with Gaelic football. So those two probably duke it out for the top sports. And obviously soccer-football is sort of get confusing now to our American listeners.
Yes.
But soccer, we'll call it just to keep life easy, is obviously huge as well. And then, that's 1, 2, 3. I would say rugby, obviously, another huge sport. And at the minute, a huge rugby tournament going on, the Six Nations. I don't know if you know that.
Yep, I've heard of it.
So it's Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, and then France and Italy. And so they play each other once, February and March of each year, and it's down to the final game next weekend. So it could either be Ireland, England, or Wales win the whole tournament. So it's simple. They all play each other once. Whoever gets the most points. So rugby's huge as well. God, I know I'm gonna kick myself because I can't think of the 5th one, but
that's all right. You don't have four's good enough.
Four's not bad. They're the 4 dominant, just like in the States you get the 4 big ones, So, and I like all of those, but I'd have to throw in as probably in maybe a second or third, and a huge Formula One fan.
I
Formula
thought
One
you
racing,
were. I heard that. Yeah,
it's kind of my other little.
What draws you to that, or how'd you get interested in that?
I just memories as a kid growing up on a Sunday afternoon watching the races, and just being fascinated with cars and just speed, and yes, that's kind of my little advice. I have a little boys trip that I go on every year, which is kind of cool. So we just pick a different races.
So where have you gone on that?
Oh God, I've been to a bunch of fun places actually. And it breaks my wife's heart sometimes, but I've been doing it that long now, where she kind of goes, "Okay, where's your boys trip this year?" So like I've been, this year we're going to go to Hungary. Last year we went to Belgium. I've been to England, and a couple of years ago they started a series in Austin, Texas. When nipped down to that was pretty cool. I've been to Shanghai. I've been to Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
That's just been kind of a. But again, what I love about the sport is really the strategy of it. Unlike NASCAR, not to offend anybody listening, but it is a very it's a very different race to NASCAR. So there's they're all it's either on a street or in a purpose-built track. So there's a lot more corners, and again, NASCAR's that's a great sport as well. But I like Formula One. I love the strategy and everything. So there's a lot of similarities to it, but. That's kind of my little vice on a Sunday afternoon. I kind of watch my Formula One, but still a huge soccer fan. Big shout out to Manchester United, my favourite team since I was about 5 years old.
I got to go to Manchester and see.
Oh, you did?
What's the name of their stadium?
Old Trafford.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Oh, fantastic! I've been a beautiful fan from a young age. Of course, they're the New York Yankees of English Premiership football. So, but I don't care. It's like, you know what? They're my team. I love them. They're good. Back to the good old days of George Best. It's like, so yeah, that's love rugby. Love watching Ireland. Of course, Ireland and soccer. My European Championships are coming up now. So Ireland in the qualifiers for that. So that'll be again. You asked me about Minnesota, how I ended up here and stuff. I couldn't have moved to a better place. Let's talk about that for a while, because all the Irish teams, there's been the rugby to some degree, certainly Irish soccer. They break my heart. So just like the Minnesota teams break everybody else's heart. Imagine I moved to Indianapolis or something. Those guys have great successes. It's like, here I am in Minnesota. I mean, and all the teams, and I love them dearly. They're a huge part of our business. Whether it's the Vikings, the Timberwolves, the Wild, the Liffey, the Twins. I mean, so the Lynx. So I mean, they're all. I've become a big Minnesota. I'm a big sports fan in general, but certainly. They have broken my heart as many times as Ireland, so I'm in the perfect spot. It's just like being at home, really,
Yeah. I don't know when it began, but at some point it became, as the kids would say these days, a thing to go to a pub on, say, Sunday morning, early in the morning, and watch soccer/football from across the pond. How big a part of that your business is that? Is that people? It's become a very popular thing for even young people to get out and go see soccer/football, on weekend mornings.
It's been an amazing journey. That whole, and we've been a huge part of it here in the Twin Cities. So, it used to be you couldn't get it. Number one, so when it first was available, again, I think it was expensive. And Josh at the local, he's been with me. He's worked with me for years. And he just didn't get it. He was like watching soccer in a pub. Nobody even likes soccer in this country. So me and him, I said, okay, come on, I'm going to show you how what this can be, So we went over to Ireland and we checked it out, little research trip, and he was just blown away by, the people who go to pubs to watch football, and it's all available, on television back at home. So it's not like it's a, you don't have to pay for it. It was part of the BBC. It was kind of free television,
right.
But there is something like even in the States, it's a great. You want to go to a pub, Again, it's a little different maybe here because a lot of people do, the parties at home and watch Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the same. It's hard to put a finger on. So we've been doing it for literally I would say 13 years in the Twin Cities, showing the big games we have, and of course now it's just exploded with. With the World Cup and with the Premiership, and not only the Premiership, but the Spanish League, the German League, the Italian League. So it's kind of funny today. So I don't know what the results are like, but Arsenal have a big game today in the Champions League. So top 4 teams in all the major leagues in Europe, the top 4 go through, and then they play in this called the Champions League. And Arsenal are in it today. They've got an uphill battle against Monaco because they get beat 3-1 in the first leg, so they've got to score 3 away goals today. So I'm not sure how it's going, but of course it's on St. Patrick's Day. The locals got a huge Arsenal following. Guys come out, they're great supporters. Even though I am a Manchester United fan, I
appreciate the passion.
Appreciate the passion, So we've been telling them, hey guys, you got to get there early at St. Patrick's Day. And God love them, they come down today as soon as we opened up, and they kind of marked their turf, and they put up all their flags, and it's like I'm walking in going, God, it's just amazing. Here they are on St. Patrick's Day, it's all red because Arsenal playing red and white. It was just bizarre, to be honest with you. It was kind of not bizarre. It was great, good to see it. Here's passion. Talk about passionate guys,
Yeah.
And again, it's like. They can all get it. You can all pay for it in DirecTV, whatever the heck, But I mean, it's like there is something about
the communal aspect.
And have you been down there? We should probably do a podcast sometime down there on a Saturday morning when there's a big game on.
That'd be great.
Some of the atmosphere is just. I mean, it's just insane. It's funny. Another quick work story. So my CFO, he was down one time with some family members and come in, for expecting this quiet little brunch with this family, and all of a sudden there's a goal, and it's like, yeah. The crowd, and he texts me or he calls me. He goes, Peter, we've got to do something with these soccer fans. It's like they're so noisy. I'm coming for a quiet brunch, and I'm kind of like, Eddie, let me tell you something. He says, you've been for brunch here.
We're not a quiet people.
Yeah, you've been for brunch once this year. These guys are here every week. So if you're asking me to pick between you and the soccer fans, CFO or no CFO, trust me, you're going to lose this battle. So
he just had a hangover. That was the only problem. Let me do a couple of wrap-up things here. First of all, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the hospitality having us here. I appreciate the Guinness. Something I call broadcast news. So you can go as short or long as you want on these answers. Give me your favorite TV show.
Favorite TV show?
Or now or ever.
As corny as it's going to sound, I loved Cheers.
Yeah, that was a great show. And as a writer, it was so brilliantly written. The characters were so indelible. They just nailed it.
I think that's another part of the whole. Loved being in bars, loved drinking in bars, loved watching TVs that it shows.
We're getting, from the director, Sean Bernard, we're getting the 5-minute countdown, as if we can't go long on a podcast. But we'll try to wrap it up so the band can start playing.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I have got categories for favorite movies. So I've got love, kind of all mafia stuff. Love them all. I've watched them all.
Me
I've
too.
watched them 100 times. Godfather.
Godfather 2 might be my favorite of that genre.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, don't notice that. I mean, it's funny when I kind of travel on my trips. I kind of that's always where I always kind of revert back to that and say I'm watching them 100 times. So and I love all war movies. Band of Brothers movie,
Band of Brothers
TV
is
series.
brilliant.
I mean,
Brilliant.
just so much of that stuff and just any of those kind of stuff and yeah, I mean that's kind of my two big things. I like the kind of Bourne Identity, Bourne thing series.
Actually, that's the rare case where I like the movies more than I like the books.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't disagree, actually, yeah. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, I watch them.
Yeah. Favorite author?
God, I don't do a ton of reading stuff. There's a great book I read, of course, a mafia book. It was called, it's a mafia. It's about the Irish mafia in New York, so back in the early 80s and stuff. A guy Todd English was his name, so I loved that because it was kind of a real factual book. The Hell's Kitchen something. I'll come back to me in a minute.
I got a recommendation for you, Lee Child. If you like kind of the action, dramatic, suspenseful, brilliantly written and plotted, I would try out Lee Child. That's a pretty good one. It's great on airplanes because it just flies by.
Right, very good. That's great.
And tell me what you got going on here for St. Patrick's Day the rest of the day.
Well, we got the Sweet Colleens coming on now. They are awesome, great guys, really high energy. They kind of take good old traditional Irish songs and kind of zip them up a little bit, And then we got Broken Spoke coming on later on. And then for me, I'm just going to bounce around the rest of the pubs and make sure that the Guinness is flowing,
awesome,
and looking and tasting good. And you know what? God bless St. Patrick, because I wish he had like 11 other brothers so we could do this once every month.
We can invent them. We're creative people.
Well, of course, there's no problem. There's no shortage of Irish saints, but people don't get into St. Bridget or St. Columkill as well.
And that's something we should rectify.
St. Mark or whatever. I mean, they've tried it.
St. Joey, St. Billy, whatever. Well, I appreciate the hospitality. Again, I want to thank my sponsors, Kieran's Irish Pub, The Local, the Liffey. Tomorrow night I will be at the Liffey at 4:30 with my buddy Michael Russo to talk hockey and other stuff, and coffee, because he always talks about how much coffee he spilled on himself in the last week. Sweet Colleen is coming up next at Kieran's. I recommend coming by. Thanks again to Guinness, and thanks to our newest sponsor, Minnesota Eye Consultants, MNEYE.com on the net. Final thought, Mr. Killen.
You know what? Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody who's listening, and I hope there's thousands and tens of thousands of you out there. Jim, it's always good to hang out with you, man. Let's do it again soon.
Oh, absolutely. And can I borrow your accent for the rest of the night?
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you $5 for it.
I always joke with people. People say,
from you.
People, I'd be standing in the grocery store and I start talking to the clerk or whatever, and they go, "Oh, you're from Ireland?" And I go, "Yeah." "How long you lived here?" And I go, "Well, a long time." I says, "It's a bit. My accent's a bit like a bad cold. It never seems to go away." And I go, "Keep it. It's so lovely."
Oh, I would kill for that accent. I would invent that accent. Once again, Peter Killen, CEO of the Cara Irish Pubs. That is the Liffey, Cooper, out in St. Louis Park, downtown Minneapolis, the places I do most of my business. Kieran's Irish Pub, where we are right now, and the Local, where I will be next week. Thanks again to Guinness, Minnesota Eye Consultants, and some more sponsors coming on board at the Alive and Social Network later this week. We're going to get out of the way and let the band play. Thanks again, Peter, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Well,
that was a quick hour.
Look at how fast the hour goes.
Oh my God! I'm like, what? You're like something.
I looked down. We were kind of what I thought was the middle of our conversation.
1-2. Is that good for front knuckle? Yes, please, my knuckle.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.